Hi everyone, this is Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host here with you with Metaphysically Speaking. Now you can find us on Facebook, and we're coming to you from WTMY Radio in Sarasota. We also are on Metaspeak. Just type in, if you're going on the computer, metaspeak.com. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Blog Talk Radio, and I believe Blog Talk TV. Down in Sarasota.
Yes.
Yeah, see? And I remembered something.
And hello, I'm our executive producer,
This is Shawnee.
And also Twitter. You're tweeting.
Oh, Twitter. Well,
yes.
I'm tweeting. Okay. So today we are going to start the program by answering a lot of your different emails. Thank you so much. I really do read all of the emails, and I want to know what you have to say. I want to know about your comments and your questions. And we do have a caller on the line. But I want to address an email from Chris. And she said, hope all is well with you. Glad you're back on YT. What's YT? YouTube. Okay. I was thinking maybe you could do a show about the Kabbalah. By now, Chris, you've already known that we did the show on the Kabbalah, and it's in the archives there. Just type it in. I think it was a couple of months ago we did it. She's only read a little bit about it. Interesting, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, she's got a Virgo man question.
Yes, here it is. We don't do much on astrology, and I know a lot of you have asked me to do astrology. And I'll explain astrology to you, but this is her question. Also, maybe you could take some time to talk about why Virgo men are so difficult. My dad is a Virgo. Scratch, he's a Virgo in big letters. And recently I met another one, younger, but just as confounding. Sensitive about their own feelings, but yet when it comes to others, they operate with the emotional IQ of a sledgehammer. Ugh. Have a great week. Chris, you're exactly right. That is the stereotypical Virgo, and not just Virgo men, but Virgo men. Men don't like to talk to begin with, unless they're Geminis or Sagittarians. There's something about that testosterone where they think it causes some type of affliction in the mouth and they can't speak. But Virgo, by and large, is very detail-oriented. Now, as it's an earth sign, but like Gemini, it is ruled by the planet Mercury, which deals with communication. Gemini is the first air sign. It's also an exalted sign, meaning it has tremendous spiritual impact, as does Scorpio and Sagittarius. Now, Virgo is known as being extraordinarily detailed, extraordinarily well organized. I mean, Shawnee is a Sagittarius, but she's got a lot of Virgo in her chart. And thank God for that, because she comes organized with all of the questions and all of the emails and everything that I need. And I just have to sit down and do our little blessing, and off we go. So Virgo people, now remember there are 12 signs. So what does that mean? There are 6 pairs. 12 signs, 6 pairs. You have the front of your hand and you have the back of your hand. You have the front of your face or your head. You have the back of your head. You have the top of your head. You have the bottom of your head. There is an opposition for every single thing. That opposition, Americans tend to think of opposing as being angry or at war with. No, it just means it's your opposite in tuning into different levels of energy, different aspects of personality. Now, Virgos make great pilots. They make great detectives. They make great accountants. They make great newspaper editors. They make great anything that has to be detailed, oriented, and on a schedule. Its partner is Pisces. And if you know any Pisces people, generally speaking, now we know a Pisces person who comes to meditation class. She's a Pisces, but she's got a lot of Virgo in her chart. So Pisces is overly emotional. And you will notice that men with Pisces sun signs or several other signs in Pisces will wear a beard or a mustache. They like facial hair because they like to hide their emotions.
What about hiding behind weight?
They are also tend to be overweight. So does Cancer, which is the heaviest water sign. And so therefore, Pisces, in wanting to hide from its emotions, tends also to be addictive. They can be addictive to substances, to alcohol, to gambling. They can have sex addictions because they're the ones, if you ask them to do something, we have a very dear friend whose mother is a Pisces. And she, in order to get out of helping around the house or helping around the community, she will say, oh, I'm just so upset. I just can't possibly think about it. I'm just so upset I have to go lay down. Meanwhile, it didn't happen to her. It happened to somebody she barely knows down the street or didn't know down the street. But it's her way of evading the responsibilities and avoiding having to do anything. So Pisces can be overly emotional. The good side is it can be compassionate rather than overly emotional and whiny and addictive. It evolves up into somebody who feels compassion for all life, has respect for life, has respect for nature, doesn't throw things along the side of the road like I saw some moron do the other day in a red convertible. Expensive red convertible, and this idiot, I'm refraining from using my normal personal language. This idiot threw some kind of fast food joint cup out onto 580, and I was a maniac. I was going to tear after him, but he took off so quickly as just the light was changing. I don't go through the light until I know nobody's coming in either direction. So I was being safe and he was being disappeared, is what he was being.
Litter is one of the biggest pet peeves and sins that I can even...
It's littering God's planet. It's littering God's garden. Who are you to litter God's garden? Okay, so I'm getting off the track. But, so Pisces men can wear beards. Pisces women can get the vapors. Remember that expression back in the 1800s with women? I was just so faint. I can't possibly do anything. And they would just sort of cruise gently to the ground with their face up and looking lovely in the candlelight. And the men would run to their rescue. That's crappy as far as I'm concerned. People face your responsibilities. You don't get out of them. So Virgo is overly detached and feels, you're absolutely right, Chris, feels compassion for itself, feels its own feelings, sometimes wants to hide and will overwork. There'll be the pilots that take an extra route, especially if you're a private pilot. And I don't want to get into the whole shebang about how crooked the airline industry is.
Yeah, don't do that because we'll run out of time.
In fighting the rules of how soon you can fly. There are a certain amount of hours that you can fly, especially consecutively, per month. And the airlines manage to get around that by scheduling you out of town, and then it's the next day, the next month, and guess what? You're flying again like 7-8 days in a row. So they'll take the extra round. They'll take the extra route because they don't want to deal with home. They don't want to deal with the problems at home. So they're more closed up. They're more closed in. And they can be bullies. If they don't get their way, they stomp around, they yell, they sulk outwardly. You know, sometimes people can sulk and you don't even know. I told my cousin that I was really mad at her one day when she was staying here. She said, "You are? You don't look like you're mad at me." I said, "Bloody hell, nobody pays attention to me." So Pisces, on the other hand, can evolve up from being overly emotional to being sensitive to other people's needs and responsive to other people's needs. So Virgo and Pisces have a lesson to teach each other. Virgo can learn compassionate detachment, and so can Pisces. It can learn detached compassion. So therefore, you can know that there's been a tragedy and you snap into action and you run to help. You can cry about it later. I've always been that way. When a friend's dog, they thought the dog bit. I said, no, the dog didn't bite. She stuck her face in the dog's face and he turned around and he was chewing and the tooth got in her face. So I said, that's exactly what happened. Two of them, the mother and the grandmother, running around crying and screaming in Italian, and I'm there with the kid in the bathroom with the betadine and the Band-Aid, and we're racing her off to the doctor. Let's get in the car. Why? Because we're going to the doctor. And then later on, she got home, she started crying, I started crying with her. She was 7 years old. Because I could feel the emotion of her being frightened. And Fifi was a wonderful dog, gentle, used to come over and jump on top of me. Fifi was a full-size poodle, And a full-size poodle landing on top of you is really not great, especially when you're on your hands and knees planting tulips. So you can respond in emotions. By the way, I don't have Pisces or Virgo in my chart. But it's very difficult, and my point is, unless somebody is a perfect match for you, and it doesn't appear that this guy is, honey, don't waste your time. You cannot change people. If I could hire a skywriter that would go all around the world and in different languages print the following: you cannot change anybody but yourself. That's who you can change. You can't change anybody in the world but yourself. All you can do is be an example. You can state your case. Many women who have been abused and are Pisces think that they'll take an abusive boyfriend or a man, and if they make him, quote unquote, make him unabusive, then the abuse they suffered from the father or the mother will not have happened.
Like Harville Hendrix.
Yes, that they can rewrite history. Explain to people who Harville Hendrix is.
Harville Hendrix wrote that book with his partner, his wife, getting the love. It's like getting the love you need, getting the love you deserve, and it's all about the imago and everything you just described,
Right.
Linda, where you heal yourself. You think you're healing yourself because you pick partners that are basically like your primary caregivers.
Right, who abused you.
Yeah.
And many people, especially women, when we get raped, and fortunately that's not something that's happened to me. I was very lucky as a child. I was just battered emotionally and physically. Will pick somebody that is abusive and tells them they're worth nothing, because actually, having been abused, they feel like they're worth nothing. So this guy's just confirming their own suspicions about themselves, and they feel comfortable because the abusive parent has told them they're worth nothing. Now, my mother told me that I was worth nothing, but I better get A's, because she knew I had a genius IQ, and nothing but an A would do. A B plus was not good enough. So you can say to yourself, this person is this way. Do I want to live with this person for the rest of my life? Is this how I want to live? Do I want to be abused? Do I want to be deprived of conversation? Because people think abuse is just beating. No, no, no. It can be deprivation. It can be deprivation of tenderness, of gentleness, of kindness. That's abuse. So there are several books. Give the name of that book again.
It's by Harville Hendrix, and he's been a very prolific writer. And so if you just type Google or Bing Harville Hendrix, you'll find
the titles will come up.
Yeah.
Also, Men Who Hate Women and the Women Who Love Them.
Name of a great book.
And Women Who Love Too Much. That sums it all up. So you cannot change a Virgo. There are many men who are wonderful Virgos because they've transcended the lack of compassion for others, and they are now wonderful people. But they have to get there, just like you have to get where you have to get. Okay, Chris, thank you so much. And we have a call. Do we have a caller on the line?
We have a caller on the line.
Caller, what's your first name and your comment or question?
Hi, this is Nancy.
Okay, Nancy.
And my question is, now that people are becoming more spiritually awakened and are meditating and that energy is starting to shift, how is that affecting the planet, the negative energy on the planet? Is it getting more anxious?
Good question. There's a difference between difference between bad and evil. And evil is a whole separate entity. I don't usually watch the show Body of Proof, but it was dealing with exorcisms the other night, and it was a cold in your shiver me timbers ending where she thinks that the girl is all medically explained about being possessed. And she had said something to her earlier when she was in her possession mode, and they discovered that she was on PCP that she couldn't possibly have known. And so they're nice, everything's great. She's leaving the room. This is a doctor. She's leaving the room, and the girl went from being totally sweet to, now go learn something, which is what her father used to say to her when she was younger, and she turns around and she's stunned. End of show. Blackout. So that is evil. And we could do a show on that, but I don't want to do it now. The bad people, some of them are getting better, because number one, some of them don't want to be left behind. Others want to know what the big deal is. And others are truly becoming enlightened. Those are the people I'm hoping to reach, as well as all of the good people on the planet. They are the people who are saying, you know, the way I've done things really hasn't worked. And watching you and watching your transformation, that is giving me some opportunity here to see how good can work, how good can function. So that's what's improving. In its quest to control the planet, evil is getting more powerful. Sadly, but truly. And that is a struggle that has gone on for a very, very, very long time. And in fact, it's gone on for eons since evil was created. And how was evil created? Evil was created piece by piece, step by step, thought by thought, breath by breath, word by word, which became a giant coagulation of bad, which just became more intense, more cruel, more powerful, and then broke off and became its own vibration of evil. Good and bad are oppositions. Good and evil are not. Evil is a separate entity. And so therefore, the good people on the planet should not give up, should continue with their enlightened behavior, should continue with trying to make things better, should continue to make things lovelier around their yard and their home, because goodness loves beauty. So do the birds. I have more birds' nests. I should have an Audubon Society person here. I have more birds' nests in my yard with my tall trees, my evergreens, so nobody can see them. I've got Carolina wrens, I've got threshers, I've got cardinals, I've got blue jays, I've got crows in the corner of the yard.
A rooster.
A rooster that is not my rooster! It adopted me. It is not my rooster. All the neighbors who are complaining, and there's probably two, are very upset that this rooster came and decided to live with me, but it's not my rooster.
We're wrapping this segment up. We should probably say goodbye to the caller.
We should say goodbye to Nancy, because we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back. Thank you, Nancy, for calling in, and please do call back again.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, people, we are going to be right back with more Metaphysically Speaking. This is Linda Bennett. And this is Linda Bennett with Metaphysically Speaking, and we are back with you right now. Remember, we are on WTMY Radio. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. And all you do is type in metaspeak.com. And we are on Blog Talk Radio, and in the Sarasota area, Blog Talk Television. And we're on Twitter.
And we are on Twitter. And in this segment, you're going to be talking about draconian.
Right.
Astrology, and
another email. Okay. I use the word drac, and we had this conversation at meditation class because some people were appalled that I said that child molesters and people who harm animals should be shot dead and hung up on a pole in the middle of your town, like the flagpole. Run it up the flagpole is what, an old expression. Well, run it up the flagpole means so everybody can see it. And no, and then my producer said, but you're a pacifist. You're basically a Buddhist yogi. And so how could you say that shoot someone and then run them up the flagpole is a good idea for everyone to see?
I just felt it would be confusing for people.
It's confusing for people, but when you live in a world where there is evil, and there are some monstrosities called humans that are so evil and so irreparable, all they do, it's like women who go for prisoners. They think these guys love them. They don't even write the notes half the time. They're illiterate. It's not them writing the note. It's somebody who gets paid to write a note. They don't love you. They just want somebody to shack up with when they come out of prison. They want somebody to do them little favors. Every time you see something like this on television, the girl is always the loser. These guys do not love you. They do not love you. They don't love anyone. They don't even love themselves. So, there are some people that are so evil or so bad, they're completely corrupt and irreparable. And so, therefore, they should not be breathing the air that we all breathe. They should not be taking up the water. They should be not be taking up the food. They should not be taking up the space, nor should they have the opportunity to harm again. Now, I didn't say they should be tortured. I said shoot them quickly, because I have my own opinions about not torturing. Torture rarely gets you what you want. You just shoot them quickly in the forehead, run them up the flagpole, and that will be a deterrent. Number one, it'll stop that person from ever harming again. I love the people who say, well, it's not a deterrent. Yeah, it is for that one. Yeah, it is. No more. Not happening again. And don't forget, these people commit these violent acts against others in prison. To be in prison is a nightmare beyond imagination. And so therefore, you have to understand they don't commit crime just outside, they commit crime inside. And some of the things they do, even if you're a murderer, they shouldn't do to somebody else. So if you're abusing animals and you see somebody dead up there on the flagpole, and you know you could be caught, you're going to think twice about abusing animals or children. That's my position. I'm sticking with it. And God can yell at me when I get up to the heavens and we can have a big discussion. Of course, somebody's mowing the lawn as we bloody speak.
Let's just keep going.
And so therefore, I'll have to get a little closer to the microphone. Now, I use the word draconian, and I'm going to read out of the dictionary because I know the word draconian means harsh. And that's what it says. It means harsh. It's named after Draco, who is said to have established severe laws in ancient Athens. Remember Athens and Sparta in ancient Greece. Athens was the intellectual town. Sparta was the warlike town where they trained people to kill each other, and they were constantly at war with each other. Draco means dragon. And if you think of Count Dracula, in Romanian, Dracul means dragon. So Dracul, Vladimir Dracul, was Vladimir of the House of the Dragons. And that was the insignia they used on their home crest. Have I ever been there? No. Do I ever plan on going? No. Is it evil? Yes. Why is it evil? Well, because of the actions that he took. Although to his townsfolk, he was a hero because he impaled the soldiers that were invading them on poles all the way outside of town. And when the enemy came, the rest of the enemy came, they were so appalled at this horrible sight of their countrymen impaled on poles that they turned around, they left. So the town was saved from being ravaged by the barbarians or whoever was ravaging them. So Draco, just like in Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy means Dragon Malfoy.
Good name.
Yeah, and then at the end where he names his child, what is that thing with curls up the tail, stings you, starts with an S, Scorpius. Who names their kid Scorpius?
Someone from Slytherin.
Someone from Slytherin is going to name their child after some kind of lizard or arachnid. So draconian means the harshest of measures. It doesn't mean that you get tortured. It doesn't mean that there's any cruelty. It means your life is ended immediately, and that's the punishment. In Saudi Arabia, if you steal, they cut off your right hand. Why do they cut off the right hand? I will try to say this as delicately as possible. There are not toilets in many places in the Middle East. You eat with your right hand. You cleanse yourself going to the bathroom with your left hand. If you chop off your right hand, you are not allowed to eat at the family table. You have to eat by yourself. So you are isolated from the community. So that's draconian, and yes, I meant it. Okay.
Okay, one thing about the draconian, you were talking about Dracula. What is the obsession with vampires?
I have no idea.
Okay, thank you.
I think that women who are unbalanced, I think that women who are unbalanced or terribly lonely think the idea of a man who lives forever, loving them forever, is very appealing, especially if they've been abandoned as children, if they were foster children, had a terrible time in the foster homes, if they were very lonely, if they're lonely now. They think of the idea of being loved forever as appealing. Let me tell you, honey, even if there were such things as physical, because there are astral vampires, that means in the astral world, not the physical world, your life would be hell unimaginable if you got hooked up with a vampire. Because the evil that they carry with them, and I know so many of these shows, True Blood, they show pleasant vampires and sweet vampires, and they drink the vampire blood that's already been gathered from the blood bank and all this other stuff. Yes, but basically, their need to feed takes precedence over your right to live. So ladies, seek psychological help and understand that you and the God Force are your best friends.
I think it's the sign of the times of the evil.
Is that another caller?
It's actually an email that just came in.
And guess who just came in?
Okay, this is so perfect. The cat, Linda's cat, has just come in.
My new kitty.
And the email says, "Dear Linda, I love your show. If the cat is going to be in the room, I swear to you, this is happening here live. If the cat is going to be in the room, try to keep focused on the topic. It's very distracting when you interrupt your train of thought to comment about the cat's every move. Signed, may the force be with you."
That is so cute. Okay, here's
now the cat's leaving.
Now the cat's leaving. Her feelings have been hurt. The reason I was so focused is because my last kitty, Angel, was a little angel. If I would put her down on the bed, she'd stay there. If I carried her with me, she'd stay in my arms. Wherever I was, she just wanted to be with Mommy. The cat I had before was Sweetie Pie, and Sweetie Pie insisted upon coming to the office with me every day. And if she didn't come and she wanted to, she would, I would come home that night and she'd have a giant swollen eye, because cats, all felines across the planet, whether they're lions, tigers, pussycats, have been exposed to the herpes virus. And it's usually the ocular or the upper respiratory. And there is an inoculation against getting it, but once the cat has been exposed to it, it's not curable, but it is treatable. So Sweetie Pie, I would come home and she would have a gigantic swollen eye popping out of the socket. So, of course, I had to hug her and I had to kiss her and I had to bring her to the office with me the next day. And I have a picture here. Maybe we could post it if I could. Where the heck is the picture? I could show that to you online, where she's sitting in the chair next to me.
Oh, I know where it is. It's over there. It's right up there.
Okay, good. We can post that on the website, because, I mean, that was her chair. That was a club chair meant for the client.
That's a great idea.
And she insisted that it be her chair. So this one is very much like Sweetie Pie, and I had just gotten her before the other show.
Okay.
And so that's why I was preoccupied.
Linda,
Plus, she surprised the hell out of me.
You're preoccupied with any cat you've ever met.
I love pussycats. I love tigers. I used to volunteer at a rehab center.
Like a dog with their ball, Linda with her cat. That's what it's like.
Even your pussycats.
I know. So anyway, we'll just all have to love her and deal with it.
So I apologize, but she's now left the room because her feelings have been hurt.
Okay.
We're going to talk about what next?
Okay, well, I know you have something on notes there, but what you had wanted to talk a little bit more about astrology?
Okay, astrology is a very complex subject. Some people think it's easy, just read what's in the newspapers. No, that's not the case. And besides, you're not just your sun sign. Your sun sign is when you were born. And most of you know, if you're a Gemini or a Taurus or an Aries or a Capricorn, you all know that. But if you have not had your chart done by a reputable, and I don't mean some fly-by-night idiot who's just learning how to do a chart, but a reputable astrologer, and expect to pay at least $300, $3,000 to $5,000, and it's usually an hour or two long after the chart has been interpreted. What I used to do, because I don't do them anymore, is transpose the chart. I have it done by a very reputable place, 1-800 mapping. It's called astrocartography and astro something else. I can't remember, but it's 1-800 mapping. I get no promotion from this. And they'll send you a chart, and they'll send you an explanation book, and you still won't be pleased. Because you do not understand all of the symbols and the houses and what the different houses represent. I would transpose everything from there onto my wheel, and that's what the chart is called, is the wheel. which shows you the different houses, so that if you say you have your sun in the first sign that deals with personality, outward being, outward situations, new beginnings, you will know what that means, and so on and so on and so on. It's a miserable job, and anybody who charges less than $500 is crazy. I also color code it for you, and I also let you record it so that you have the information forever. Astrology is not just your sun sign. If there's your moon sign, which is what your sun sign was in your last lifetime. And in your last lifetime, yes, there is reincarnation. Your current sun sign was your rising or your ascendant, which is in the 9 o'clock position on your chart, on everybody's chart. That's how a chart is plotted. Then your rising now for next lifetime will be your sun sign, and your current sun sign will be your moon. So you're saying, well, does that mean you're planning several lifetimes in advance? Yes! And you're planning them with people you know and you love, so you can all be together at a certain time, at a certain place, to accomplish certain things. Whether it's old karma or a special mission on the planet, yes, at least 3 to 5 lifetimes are planned in advance. Now, if somebody goofs off and doesn't pay attention to their lessons and doesn't learn what they're supposed to learn, then they may get opted out and put in another situation. But if you're dealing with important issues, somebody will come along to replace that individual so that the mission can take place.
Okay, next topic, because we only have a few minutes left in this segment.
Of course, this hour flies by.
I know, is on crystals. But
okay.
we only have 4 minutes. But
that came up the other night in class, didn't
why
it?
are they so special? What do they do? And it's a good time to buy now, people.
It's a good time to buy now because they're not, quote-unquote, fashionable anymore. Years ago, when crystals went out of sight and price, I said, wait a few years. If there's one you have to have, great, go ahead and buy that. But wait a few years because the prices will come down because they will be less trendy. You know, the New Age movement, people would make fun of New Agers back in the 80s. Well, in some cases, they deserve to be made fun of because they flitted from one thing to the next.
Flakes.
They were flakes.
Flaky.
They flitted and they were flaky, and they went from one thing to the next thing, 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 because they didn't want to do the work that it takes to accomplish something important in your life. Crystals are powerful. Now, if you think of your watch, take a look and look down, and if it says quartz, guess what that is? It's not plastic. It's a crystal. Lasers are powered, or part of the engineering of a laser is a crystal. Telescopes, same thing. Now, crystals are special formulations from the earth, made in certain places. Gems are types of crystals. Amethyst, diamonds, everything has a type of its own crystalline structure. So therefore, crystals or certain gems may have an attraction to you because you're vibrating on the level that that crystal vibrates on. Or the crystal is going to help you vibrate higher. One thing you can look for is double terminated. That means it has a natural ending on both ends. I personally dislike the beveled down crystals that make it look like a gemstone and all smoothed out, because you have no idea what the original personality of the crystal is, and it's basically in a state of shock. What you want to look for is natural terminations, and I just dropped my pen, but that doesn't matter. Natural terminations, whether they look irregular or not, doesn't matter. You can tell whether something is broken off or whether there's a natural formulation.
I'll put some pictures of them on Facebook.
Excellent. You also want to look for something called record keepers. And record keepers are the triangular shapes that you can find on some crystals. Now, you may find triangle within triangle within triangle within triangle, and you can tell that it's slightly beveled, and you can tell that it has a surface to it, and those are natural formulations. Do you mean I have to take a break now in my sentence?
Nothing, but you have a minute. That's
okay.
me going 1 minute.
Okay. So, therefore, those are natural formulations, and that means the idea was programmed into the crystal as it was being formed by who? The Earth Logos, the Earth Spirit, the angels, which we're going to talk about next because somebody's interested in archangels. that is impregnated deeply within the crystal, and working with it in meditation will bring it out. You will also see carved triangles. That means thousands and thousands of years ago, somebody else had it and programmed an idea or a prayer into your crystal. We're going to take a break right now so Shawnee doesn't go crazy, and we are going to come right back with more Metaphysically Speaking. And welcome back. This is Linda Bennett with Metaphysically Speaking, and as I like to say at the beginning of each session here, that we have different areas where you can find us. Metaspeak.com on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Blog Talk Radio, and you type in Metaspeak, Metaspeak.com, and we're also on WTMY Radio from Sarasota, and we're also on Blog Talk Television in Sarasota. Let me pick up on the crystals because I didn't quite finish. Crystals have their own powerful special energy, and you can always tell a house that has a bunch of crystals around it when you walk in, and you can just feel this clear smelling, clear energy, fresh, peaceful vibration, especially when you have them in every room and sort of most of the corners of the room, because they set up like a ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong vibration of power and energy. And by the way you get power out of a crystal, not you, because if you get your crystals, you will treat them with care. That means you wash them off and you put them in a place that the cat won't knock them off. And fortunately, none of my cats have ever damaged the crystals. Even Miss Cuddles, who is very destructive, was not naughty, and she was very good and used to lay quietly on my altar and not knock anything off. Unlike knocking off plates and plants, she did not knock off my crystals. So what you do, if you're attracted to a crystal, you take it home, you wash it, you leave it for 24 hours, and then you can pick it up. And you can hold it, doesn't matter which hand. Some people say, oh, the left hand or the right. Doesn't matter, it's you. Pick the crystal up and quietly meditate with it. You can just do plain Om, you can do Amen, you can do Om Mani Padme Om, you can do Ho'ono, which is a Hawaiian chant. It doesn't matter. Or you can just recite the Hail Mary if you like, and I have Hail Marys, meaning Mary Mother, Mary Daughter-in-law rather, Jesus' wife. So you can do any prayer you want. And sometimes the crystal will get very hot in your hand, sometimes it won't. Sometimes the next time it'll get hot in your hand, sometimes it won't. It depends upon you and the crystal. If the crystal has anything to do, anything to tell you, anything to show you, it will. It'll appear in your third eye, just above the nose, between the eyebrows, not way up in the forehead, you go cross-eyed. Just above the nose, between the eyes with your eyes closed, and that is the window to the soul. When I'm doing a consultation, that is where I see pictures. It's like a movie is playing in my head. So the crystals can energize you, especially if they're doubly terminated. Try to avoid the polished ones that are nice smooth surface, because you have no idea. That is not the natural state for a crystal. Crystals are not supposed to be beautiful. They're just supposed to give you their energy. And if you feel like you've used a crystal too much, wash it again, leave it on your altar for a few minutes, or next to a plant, or next to an angel statue, or a Mary, or your Trinity of the Father, Son, and the Mother. Nativity. I have the Nativity here on my altar. I have one outside in the dining room that goes on the dining room table at Christmas time, and so therefore that's the Father, the Mother, and the Child. That is the true Trinity. Don't let anybody tell you the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's not how you create life. So crystals have their own power, their own energy. And look, if you go to a crystal and rock show, look in the bin that's like $2 or $1, because that's where I found a very powerful healing wand. The guy didn't know what it was. It got tossed in there by mistake. He said, this thing's all beat up. What do you want it for? I said, I don't know. I just like it. I couldn't breathe. I was so excited. And we have a friend who wants that crystal when I die. And every time he comes over here to meditate, he says, remember, I get this crystal. I know. Shawnee knows. Everybody knows you get this crystal. He is so attracted to that crystal. And it's a wonderful healing crystals. Crystals can do nothing except sit on your desk and heal you. But if you want to meditate with them, you will get an extra bonus and benefit. Clear crystals, amethyst, smoky quartz, and most smoky quartz these days is cooked. And that means basically it's like overcooking a piece of meat. And I'm a vegetarian, so the idea is disgusting to me. But if you get crystals now from Tibet or Nepal, you can tell, you can hold them up and they're clear if you look through them almost. and they're nice and light smoky, dark smoky, but you can see through them. The cooked crystals you can't see through. So they're their own energy bonus for you.
And if they're cooked, they're dead.
They're dead. They've been
Irradiated.
Yeah, you can put them outside in the yard and put them under a tree.
What about angels, Linda?
Angels.
We have had someone ask a question on Facebook about angels, guardian angels, helping you when you have important events in your life. And does my guardian angel have a name?
There were two women on PBS, very well-meaning, I'm sure, back in the 80s, who were teaching people to find their guardian angel's name. I couldn't help but be hysterical, laughing, and furious at the same time. Angels do not speak our language. They don't speak unless they're trying to warn you of something, and then they do take voice. I cannot tell you how many times my life has been saved, literally, from being bitten by a rattlesnake, from being attacked by an alligator, and on and on and on. Then they take voice because thought pattern is, it's too late for thought pattern. They have to get your attention. Don't go to the Belcher post office, etc. Same voice. They don't have names, and they don't want you to know their name. And if they have a name amongst themselves, we can't even pronounce it. We can't spell it. We can't pronounce it. It's like ancient Sanskrit. It's like parts of the Kabbalah. It's like the Kabbalion, which we will talk about, hopefully, if we have this time. Or maybe we'll talk about it on the next show. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about the Kabbalion on the next show. Breath in intoning things. Hawaiian language, the same thing. The Aborigines in Australia. You use breath in tone as well as the word itself to pronounce. We can't do it. Ancient Egyptian is the same. So your angel, forget an angel's name, doesn't matter. Your guardian angel is assigned to you from the time your soul is split out from the God force. Why? Again, I've said God must have been having a bad day to create humans, because I think the idea was stupid. And theoretically, I used to say that when we are all going home and all the good souls are reunited and evil has been destroyed, the God force will be grander. Well, science tells us that God is stable and you can't make God better or worse. I don't necessarily agree with that. God can't get worse, but God can get grander with more splendor of kindness from humans and animals. And yes, animals have souls, even rats. And last year when I had to kill a pack of baby rats because I missed the mother, I did it quickly, stabbed them through the heart, buried them, and said a little prayer over the little hole and covered it up. Rats eat your wires, people. And I had an electrician here who said, "Ooh, you have something in your attic. I don't know who's protecting you, my angels, but this should have gone on fire." So rats eat wires. So I was not real happy to find the baby rats in my backyard. So, but you don't torture, you kill instantly, they don't suffer, and that's it. Now, the God force, we cannot possibly explain all of the God force except to say that it's massive, it's all-encompassing, its thought is in with everything, including the cockroach. Its thought, its idea of creativity is in every tree, every pussycat, every puppy dog, every elephant, every human, every planet, every star, every solar system. How did these planets, like in our galaxy, in our solar system, manage to get here? How do they have a vibration? If we know that the moon has an effect on the tides and clams, even when you move the clams inland, they eventually adjust to the tides on that cycle. Obviously, everything around us has an effect on us. So the God force is all pervasive in everything. And so the God force created the Arc-I, which is a very ancient Sanskrit name for the angels of the voice or angels of the God force. They speak to the archangels, and there are many subspecies of angels, fiery pinwheels, the chokemeyer, the cherubs, the seraphim, many different vibrations of angels that take care of different things. They speak to the archangels who are involved in different areas on the planet. There are archangels that deal with nature. There are archangels that deal with storms, archangels that deal with bodies of water, with forests, with fields, with humans, with cities, and they deal with the angels who then deal with us. Guardian angels are the angels that are assigned to us when we are split out from the God force. They remain with us forever, even when they want to take 2 Excedrin and lay down because we're stupid. The guardian angels can, and sometimes do, ask a spare guardian angel or a roving guardian angel to come and help because they need a rest because they can't stand us anymore. And they're not going away, they just lay down for a minute and take a little rest. Because when humans are behaving cruelly or incredibly stupidly, like these stupid shows where they're taking risks with their lives, that is an abuse of God. Why? Because we have this body. Yes, it's temporary. Everybody is temporary. It's the mechanism we use on a physical planet, because who would listen to a bunch of voices trailing around after you? So the body is a gift to take care of your karma. And when you abuse it with dangerous stunts like these idiots do on television, or racing, or alcohol, or drugs, or any other dangerous behavior, boxing, punching each other, brain damage, that is all abusing the body. That is a sin against God and nature. That means you do not appreciate or value the gift you have been given. So your archangels and the angels that watch out for the guardian angel, the archangels that watch out for the guardian angels, try to boost them up and give them extra energy, extra input on how to handle you if you're being incredibly stupid. If you insist upon being stupid, the archangels say to your guardian angel, let him be stupid, suffer the consequences, can't do anything about it, not learning the normal way. So you'll have a car accident, you'll be crippled, something awful will happen. Sometimes you recover if you have an important mission, sometimes you won't. So by abusing the physical self, you're abusing part of God. You do not need to know anybody's name. Again, the archai are unknowable to humans until you get to the causal level. What, Linda? What are you talking about? That is the level closest to going completely home to the God force. That's where you have just a little bit of higher learning knowledge that you have to accomplish before you get reunited with the God force. The astral world is the world right between us, where your soul goes when it first leaves the physical body, where it goes when you're sleeping, where you have your dreams, even though you're clearing out your computer, your brain, because remember, your brain doesn't need to know how many bottles of soda you saw today in the supermarket, or how many heads of lettuce, or what the name of the checkout girl was. Doesn't need to know that. How many cars you passed, doesn't need to know that. So your brain gets cleared out every night, but then, and that's in the astral world, where your soul is above your body and you're clearing out, and then you go off and have your astral adventures. Many times you learn things in the astral world that you need to know in the physical world. And when something happens, you'll say, gee, that seems familiar. Well, because you dreamt it 3 nights ago. That's a part of deja vu. So you are, oh, you're telling me there's 2 minutes. Okay, I was just going to, too much stress. So the angel kingdom, you can just categorize it as the angel kingdom. It's not better than we are. It is different than we are.
I've always thought it was better than we are.
Because they're not stupid enough to make dumb mistakes like we do. But when you're vibrating on a higher level, when you're kind, when you're content with yourself as a kind, loving being, when animals love you, when birds come to you, when a crow lands on your head, when nice people like you, when you can calm people down when they're upset, then you know you're doing okay. And the angels are pleased. My expression is, if every single night when you can look into the mirror and look at yourself dead on, third eye to third eye, as well as physical eyes to physical eyes, and you have a good feeling, you're doing okay. If you feel ashamed, if you feel you've done something terribly wrong, and you can't face God third eye to third eye, then you need to fix it. Doesn't mean you're condemned to hell. It means you need to fix it. And we are all fixable if we want to be. And want is the extraordinarily important word here, because if you don't want to be better, you won't be better. And what a sad way to live your life, not wanting to be better. Because we're all on this physical plane. Nobody's having a super fabulous time, even if you're in a rest life. And how many times you get a rest life? Every 7 times. You have difficult lives for 6 lifetimes, and then your 7th lifetime is one of these lifetimes where you never get a pimple, you have perfect hair, you have perfect body, you never gain weight that you shouldn't gain. If you have children, you have perfect children, you have a perfect life, you have a perfect career, perfect pool, the thing never gets algae, you have perfect trees, they never lose their leaves. Everything is so perfect it's nauseating. You just want to go over and smack them. No, they have had a hard 6 lifetimes. And this is their reward, because God says you have to have an incentive to keep coming back in the physical world. So the incentive is that you will get a pleasant, happy, joyful lifetime where nothing ever goes wrong pretty much. And therefore, you can appreciate the opportunity to have a physical body. And remember, if you will just open up your hearts and minds to God's universal truth, you'll know that God and the angels are always with you. This is Linda Bennett, Metaphysically Speaking.